Hey YouTubers, welcome to my kitchen. As you can see, it's a little bit of a different surrounding than last time, and I probably look a little bit lighter and happier, which is accurate. I think it's been about 7 months since I spoke to you guys last, so I guess a little update is in order. I'm still working at my same company with folks that really help me dig deeper and be honest with what's going on with my health and my emotional and physical well-being. So it's really wonderful. It's blossoming, and it's really helping support the notion that we can attract people that are on our vibration and exactly what we need. I still live in Oakland. I had a transition of a living situation. I still live in my same place, but my former significant other has moved to somewhere else. We are still great friends, still great at communicating, but it's definitely been a super fast growth period that I'm appreciative for. So I'm going to be talking about how to date with chronic illness. And keep in mind that this lens is my lens of living in the Bay Area, which is pretty progressive, and also the lens of the queer world, which is also perhaps a little bit different than what some of you are used to. But both of those things to me, I think, are situations that illuminate progression. Like the Bay Area is super accepting, super open, very much about body positivity, self-acceptance, all of that stuff. And then the queer community, I think, even further promotes that. So I think my overall message will translate to all of you. So here goes. So I've had, I think, parents reach out to me. They want to give advice to their kids for when they get older. I think namely female children is what people were talking about. And then maybe people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 70s, who knows. I don't think there's any specific age at which you can start dating again. So I hope that this translates to everybody. So the first thing that I found incredibly important in the last number of months in my journey is doing self-inventory before I started this process. So the first thing that was really imperative for me to do was to sit with myself in a time where I felt really grounded and not super upset, not feeling like, I don't know, just generally kind of a more calm, grounded mood, where I sat with myself and I said, okay, what habits and behaviors will I accept in someone new that I date? So I think it's very important to do this. I don't know that I've spent as much time doing it in the past as I thought I actually had. But like, so what are my deal breakers? Like, my deal breakers are smoking, drinking every day, not doing like self-work and spiritual work. Those are all three really big deal breakers for me, because that's kind of what I want to attract. I am not saying that everyone's going to have the same set of things. You may feel okay with someone that smokes, and that's totally fine. But you may not be okay with someone who has like a shitty family, for example. So just, yeah, take inventory of yourself and what you will accept and what you will not accept. Because if you have these kind of like ideas and parameters set before you go out into this dating world, I think it makes it a bit easier to know who you should spend time with and who is not really someone that's in your same space. I've been talking to a number of people lately about the concept of yeses are hard yeses. So when you feel like right here, like something feels okay, it doesn't feel scary, it doesn't feel negative, and you feel drawn towards something and like blissful about it, that's a hard yes. Sometimes you feel maybe, and for me, maybe translates to no. Um, Sometimes I have a maybe feeling about something or someone, and it just takes me getting more information to confirm that this is actually a no, but I'm like kind of getting faster about it, about feeling it out and um, seeing things like right as they pop up and just using my intuition and just kind of like checking in, especially with my gut. That's where I feel it particularly. So that's number one. Number two, do you have stable friends and family to give you support during this process? I found having really close friends to be such a game changer. They can give you feedback about if they meet these people, if these people, seem to be treating you well, respectfully, are kind, genuine, all that stuff that all of us spoonies need on a daily basis. And then also friends and family to anchor you to who you are before or were before you went into this like dating realm. I think it's easy for us as people that deal with chronic illness to get lost pretty easily in dating someone because we get excited and we get kind of overtaken with, the happy chemical rush, so to speak, and we're not like taking care of ourselves as much as we should be. And friends and family are there to anchor us to be like, oh yeah, this is what was important to me before I met this person, and these were my habits. And so, for me, having these sets of friends to still spend time with and just balance out my day-to-day communication and physical time spent and all of that, that's super important because also, you don't want to overwhelm someone that you're dating and just be like, because we get excited and that can happen easily. So that was number two. Number three is, do you have strong inventory taken of your habits and routines that make you feel best? For example, I know that it's unlikely that I'll want to be dating someone where I go to their house and like spend time and it's not it's like full of like Glade plugins and like scents and things like that. That's like very surface level, but I kind of want someone in my same understanding of like, we don't need to use a shit ton of chemicals in the household. I know it's something super silly, but like that overwhelms me and makes me feel sick, and ultimately I wouldn't want to be putting myself in a situation where I feel like crap at someone's house. Secondly, like spending time with people's roommates and animals and all of that, like what things can you handle, what things can you not handle? Are you willing to date someone that has a community-oriented household where there's 6 other roommates? Or are you really looking to date someone who is more settled and has a house and, all of that type of stuff? It's kind of like just realizing what you can handle, what will easily integrate into your current life versus going against it and causing like tension and all that stuff. I think for me, a lot of it revolves around sleep and my ability to like eat healthy and have access to like my comfortable apartment. So right now, I prefer to be dating people that can come to me a lot of the time, or who don't live super far away or are easily accessible, so that I don't get stressed out about time spent or commuting or any of that stuff. So that's number 3 of doing self-inventory. The next would be kind of looking at my list. Okay, so when you've done all this inventory and you feel grounded and you feel connected to yourself, your habits, your routines, what will feel best to you, the next is like getting ready to put yourself out there. So thinking about this in the sense of what types of events, groups, people will attract where you are. Myself, for example, I wouldn't say that it would be in my best interest to start going to like death metal shows, because that's not going to attract for me the type of crowd or person that I'm looking to date. So instead, I would choose to go to more community-oriented queer things, yoga, daytime like dancing, things that aren't necessarily completely tethered and anchored to drinking and partying, but also that still have like the excitement of community in them. So that was important to me. Let's see. The second one, which is huge to me, which plays into the last video that I talked about with the acceptance of self. So I am on a couple of sites like Tinder and OkCupid, and on both of those profiles, for the first time in my life, there was complete transparency of me choosing to say, hey, I'm chronically ill. And on one of the profiles, I went further and said, on a day-to-day, my life looks like this. So that there are no surprises. For me, I don't want surprises. I find it very important and healthy to have open heart and open communication and just say, this is where I am, this is what I'm looking for. And I think that helps for me weed out people that are not going to be able to ride the flow of my health experience. And to be totally honest, there are people that I know that I think there's 2 EDS people that I know actually that are dating one another, and I don't know if they met that way, I'm not sure, but I think it's really cool because some of their dates, for example, are spent like the day in bed, like playing board games, ordering in food, watching movies, doing puzzles, stuff like that. So finding someone to like meet you where you are is super essential. And I say that because I've had a lot of relationships prior to now where I kind of wrote off my chronic illness. I would say, oh, well, I'm feeling good right now. I have this thing, but it's fine. I figured it out. I don't, it's probably not going to come back. It's fine. And then, like life cycles and changes, and that cycle of health that is not as excited or energized or normal would come back and ultimately start to drive a wedge into my relationship because I was not completely upfront about what the possibilities were in my life. So for me, one of the possibilities is, hey, for 6 months now, I haven't had any neurological issues, but let it be known that there are times when I have to use a cane, I can't walk very far, etc., etc. And I think that is a fair thing to communicate because, again, it doesn't bring on any surprises, and then that person can decide if they think that they are choosing to be present and have the bandwidth to, meet you in your experience. I don't think, to me, that is a form of rejection. To me, I just choose to attract those that are right there with me. And oftentimes that means people that are able-bodied all the time. But I just kind of put it out there. So that is something super, super, super new for me that feels honestly great. And by me being transparent about where I am and just upfront and communicative and open and saying like, hey, here are my struggles today. Had a great week, but today I'm fucking struggling. I think it's allowed vulnerability in the other people that I'm spending time with to say, hey, I'm having a hard day too. Let's talk about it. Or, how can we support one another to feel better today, or what have you. So the next would be once you actually start dating. So you've weeded through all these profiles or all of these social gatherings or all of these humans, and now you are ready to date, I would reiterate to hold out for someone who feels good to you, someone who doesn't make the assumption that you will always be healthy, nor the assumption that you will always feel terrible, who can kind of meet you day to day with where you are, and someone, in my sense, who is on your same vibration. I think it's easy when you're having down days and struggling to accept yourself to think that someone else who is amazing would be out there and want to date you, but it does exist. Everyone has their shit, and someone else's just might look a little bit different than yours, but there's something really beautiful in the process of holding out for someone that's on your same vibration. And I feel like if you kind of do that, then you start creating this coexisting flow. And I think it's really healing. I think that's my most recent experience, is holding out for people like that is super healing. As long as you keep balance, as long as you're not overwhelming one another, as long as you communicate, I think it's really beautiful. So once you start dating, still taking inventory on a daily basis of, are you still taking care of yourself? So you've started dating this person, they're fucking amazing. I cuss a lot, so I guess I don't really feel bad about that anymore. So, this person, or perhaps these people, are amazing, and you just have to take inventory. Like for me, if I have a really, really, really rough day at work, and I want to be cuddled, held, felt better, or made to feel better, or helped to feel better, is this person going to provide that for you? If they cannot, are there friends that can provide it for you? And just being honest about it, instead of getting off of that terrible day at work and then, holding up your end of a social bargain with this person that you're dating and going to some gathering, just saying, hey, I can't do this. It's not where I'm at. I need to take care of myself, and just having them be okay with it. Just keep taking care of you, because if you don't take care of you, then you are not going to have a successful dating relationship, period. Another thing to check in about is this person being respectful of those requests? If you say that you're having a rough day, you can't hang out anymore, is this person being respectful? Are they guilting you into feeling bad for taking care of yourself? Or maybe there's more communication that needs to come out about that. I had an experience recently where I was having a shitty day, and the person that I've been spending time with was not able, didn't have the bandwidth and didn't have the emotional capacity at the time, or now, to be there for me in that way. But that's something that was communicated from the get-go. So it was up to me to shift my expectation and either give that comfort to myself or seek out someone else to give that to me. My reaction was to be upset and just, say, why can't you give this to me, etc., etc. But I had to sit with myself and observe and realize that it was already known that I couldn't get this comfort from this person for whatever reason. And that's actually okay, because that was the understanding that we had. So I think it takes a lot of conscious behavior and effort for us to decide if we're really still working on ourselves, or are we thrusting all of our needs and emotion onto someone else and thinking you fix it. Because yes, it's really nice to have people make you feel secure and wanted and loved, but ultimately, that's kind of up to us to do for ourselves first. So, communication is key. Going into things, again, transparency, speaking up about your needs, giving them space to speak up about their needs, perhaps they know that they really, really like you, but that your health or your family or whatever situation could be sometimes overwhelming to them. So they need to speak up and say what their needs are, and that maybe right now, their capacity is XYZ, and you have to decide if that's okay with you. Basically, it's about doing a lot of checking in with yourself and with the other person a lot. And if you lose sight of that, then I think that's when shit starts to get really uncomfortable, because needs are not being met at that point. Also, observation rather than control. I think that a lot of us with chronic illness have abandonment issues that would revolve around us thinking that we are not special or worthy enough for someone to stick around. And perhaps people haven't stuck around in the capacity of friends and family and romantic partnerships. But untethering the upset reaction, and thinking that we should control someone to get what we want, when my advice is observe people's behavior. You can start dating someone and then things come out that don't sit well with you, and it is completely in your ability to walk away. Sometimes it's hard to, because sometimes you're getting something met from that person that feels good, but you are never stuck in a situation. And also, again, we should not need to deploy control mechanisms to not get hurt. If something is serving us, it's serving us. If something is uncomfortable because it's pushing against something from the past, then that's something for us to look at and sift through and work with. But if the person just doesn't feel good to you, then walk the fuck away. I think, also, as people that are chronically ill, I think because we've been in survival mode and we've had to drill down and deal with ourselves a lot, I think inherently we do know what feels right and what doesn't feel right. And it's not worth it to stick around for things that just aren't working. So there's that. And the last thing, this may be a bit controversial for some of you, which I'm completely okay with, but it's possible to date more than one person to get your needs met. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not all roses. It's not, necessarily going to follow the fairy tale storybook idea that we've all been taught, but just as we may not be able to provide everything for someone, same goes for them to us. I have a number of people that are all over the country that provide extreme emotional love and closeness that I would not trade for anything. But clearly those people are far away. They can't give me physical affection, emotional affection, sexual connection, all of that. And I think the same can go for people that are in your immediate vicinity. Perhaps someone has a more closely matched work schedule to you, so you find that you want to have dinner with them 2 or 3 times a week and share, intimate experiences or energy, what have you. And then you also have a person or people that fit other needs that you have on different days of the week. I think it's a newly evolved concept to think that we can't expect one person to fulfill all of our needs, but it relieves a lot of pressure off of us too. I know in the past I have been the person that stopped being sexual, for example, because I just wasn't physically into that person anymore. But if I knew that I could have maintained just an emotional relationship with them and gotten my needs met elsewhere for the physical aspect, I would have kept going in these some of these situations, and it's just super freeing. So this is me kind of rambling on about all of this, but this is my 2 cents or 50 cents or whatever. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm kind of sorting my way through this as I go. I wouldn't say that this is a one-size-fits-all scenario. Just check in with what you want, and if you want the fairy tale person, go after that. I think we have really specific desires of the heart for a reason, and we are all very different, and I think it's important to honor those. So I hope this helped at least one person, and feel free to post about other topics that you guys want me to talk about. I will be probably helping another YouTuber in the near future, so I may cross-post, and those I may put in links below. But in the meantime, be well, enjoy the rest of your summer, and don't forget to listen to your inner guide, your heart, your gut.